Welcome, my casa. Hey, how you doing? My name is Citizen K. I'm here in my studio in Canberra with WAEVZ, talking smack, talking knowledge, talking sharing. Hope you enjoy.
I might say that I don't want you. Less people both got to know I do.
So, welcome to my space. This is where all my work gets done. And 95% of my time is spent in this room. Basically, when I was looking for a space, initially I was looking for somewhere that was your standard studio, but once I got in here, there was something about the lack of light that I've noticed in other studios and the lack of space that I really wanted to kind of change up and just have myself have plenty of space. So when I want to, and when I need to get energetic, this gets out of the way. I run around the room every once in a while. I'll do a couple laps around the couch to get me hyped. Music was always around growing up for me. My mum is the leader in her choir at church. My brother is in music as well, Genesis Owusu. We have an older cousin, Miracle, who goes by Bless now as well. That's our big cuz, and he's always been in music as well. So growing up, he kind of led the way for me, and he was always playing guitar, got me into playing guitar. Obviously the older cousin, older sibling, trying to be like him, and then Genesis kind of like then followed suit as well with writing and poetry. Dad is just a massive music lover. And coming from Ghana as well, like rhythm specifically, drums and just, yeah, music's always been around. Have my guitars. Guitar was the first instrument that I picked up. That's what really got me into music. I was playing in like funk bands and playing in rock bands. Chili Peppers. I forever give it to the Peppers. For my 12th birthday, one of my friends got me Red Hot Chili Peppers Live in Hyde Park CD. And I played that thing till it no longer played. In the early days, there wasn't a specific approach to creating music or what I wanted to do with music. It was just something that I liked doing. Music was my way to communicate, and it kind of became a big part of my identity. There was one particular incident I remember where one of my friends, I used to send him my lyrics over MSN Messenger and convinced me to rap in front of all my friends. I remember the lyrics. It was, there's some bling over here, there's some bling over there, there's some bling everywhere, but I don't really care. I walk around the street as my bling does its flop, sort of like it's listening to some hip hop. I rapped those bars, and obviously everyone burst out laughing and ran away, and I stood there like, huh, damn, okay, fair enough. But weirdly, it was like, it made me want to get better. It made me want to do more with what I was, with rapping specifically, with writing. I started studying other rappers more. I started studying lyricism more. And so I try to keep it pretty simple. I work mostly in the box, so most of the stuff is just through Ableton. That's my baby, that's what I work through. And then, yeah, incorporate all the live instrumentation as I need and bring in session musicians. That story of rapping in front of my friends, that was so formative in a lot of my lyrics. And I started talking about when things don't go right. In a weird way, it's easier to write about struggles and about pain than it is about anything more positive. But because my musical influences were mostly funk and that positive style, I found it was a great opportunity to speak about hardships, but if I packaged them in funky beats, they were received pretty well. When I was moving into here, one thing that I wanted to do was to have a piece of artwork that centered the room. I ended up coming across this painter, Danielle Wharton. She is incredible, from Melbourne, and Bob Marley's someone that I've grown up with. My dad smashed Bob Marley when we were growing up. So yeah, Bob's a really important part of this space. Humility and confidence is what definitely exudes from this painting, and what I try to remember while I'm in this space as well. Between the whole 2013 to 2017 period was just a kid making music and not really aware of what was happening outside of once the music is created. I was pretty ignorant to the scene in general. Most of my influences were from the UK, from the States. I didn't really know Australian music, to be honest. I didn't come in with any preconceived notions of the sound that I was doing. I just grew up playing rock, grew up loving funk and soul. My second ever show to any audience was Groove and Moo. So yeah, and the first time was in front of my music class and I choked. And the second time was at Groove and Moo. A prized possession of mine that's just come in is my VR set. I am on the road to becoming the #1 VR table tennis player in the world. So when I'm there in a few years and you watch this back, just remember my humble beginnings. Kojo and Citizen K, well, they started as the same person. Citizen K, when I began, like 17, 18 or whatever, however old I was. Young, very enthusiastic, very optimistic about life. Clearly hadn't gone through that many hardships, living life very optimistically. That is and was Citizen K, but obviously as you grow and you experience new things, you start seeing the darker sides of life. And at a point, the two began to kind of split. Citizen K started becoming a bit more of a character. I had this ability to just flick on the Citizen K switch. As soon as I stepped on stage, I genuinely felt happier as Citizen K. I took a bit of a break from Citizen K, and through that time, they've melded back together again, which has been really nice for me personally, to have the two become, it sounds weird, but to become the same person again. So Don't Blink and two other singles that I'd put out, the last 3 singles that I put out, Ego, Funny Beers, they were actually all written around the same time. Talking about Citizen K and Kojo fusing back together, those 3 singles were the beginning of that. And Don't Blink was one that was super raw, super random, that I don't think I would have put out in any other time. But I remember having it playing in this space and I was kicking the couch back, I was headbanging to myself, I had my guitar in hand just rocking out, and it felt great. That is the essence of this space. The rest of it comes from the energy that people bring. The energy that the people who I get to work with bring to the space. That's everything else. Plus the plant from my dad, essential. My dad is a G. He is, I call him a gardener. He has this way of being able to like plant seeds. And when I wanted to do the artist thing, his whole thing was like, why don't you like go to some sort of like school or TAFE and learn about the behind the scenes, just so you can communicate with sound engineers better, so you can have the language. And I remember at the time being like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I think I want to be able to communicate with sound engineers better. And then did like this whole like 3-year TAFE course, came out of it falling in love with like engineering and producing. And since then, I find it I use the term freeing a lot, and that's what production is for me. Getting to work with other artists allows me to make stuff that I wouldn't otherwise make myself. And I wanted to become a cog in the machine in Canberra. I wanted to become just a part of this scene and growing the scene and collaborating with the scene. And that's when I actually started learning about how much talent was here to start with. I just want to get everyone in here and see how you're creating and the music that you want to make. And it just fuels back into myself as a creative. And there's also without the pressures of being the front person. I'm not gonna lie, there's something nice about being able to just be like, let's put this crazy ass sound in here, but I don't have to take responsibility for it if it flops. What's changed the most in our scene in Australia here is freedom. There seems to be a genreless approach to everything now, which I love personally. And I think it's allowing everyone to be more creative. And it inspires other musicians who have been there for a while or new artists to just off the bat be crazy, like just so crazily creative. Not being biased, but Genesis Owusu being one of them. His approach to music has always been a genreless approach, and it's amazing to see the rest of the world like be able to catch on to that and also see what the people close to him have been seeing since he was 14. The Australian scene in 5 to 10 years will not be the Australian scene, if that makes sense. It's going to be a global thing. So obviously everyone's so aware of what's happening in the States and you know, in Europe, but I think the rest of the world has been getting shown the Australian artists more lately, and we will just become a part of that now. It'll just be a global scene. It won't necessarily be geographical anymore. I think we're really proving ourselves to be just heavy hitters in our own right, and being unique and creative in our own. It's not just following whatever trends that we're seeing happening, but actually shaping the future of music in general outside of just being Australia. You've been here with Citizen K and WAEVZ. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen, and I hope you took something out of it. If you didn't, at least catch me on VR, catch me on table tennis, and we'll hash it out right there.
See, truth is